So, when are we going to film that sexy calendar shoot?
Oh, I didn't see you there. It's been a really long year, hasn't it? I'll call you back. You know what? Just never mind all that. Let's get into what matters. So, yeah, as you already know, today is December 31st. So, as you already know, this is Clubstep Studios Channel Rewind of 2022. Now, for those of you who are new, or if you need a recap, Clubstep Studios Channel Rewind is a tradition in where every single year, as the last video of the year, I go over all the videos I made throughout the past year. So, let us begin. So I'm going to put up a window capture and bop, you can see my channel right here, starting with the very first video I made of the year. So, and just to prove it to you, here, Clubstep Studio Channel Rewind 2021 is right there. And as you can see, if I put in this video, the video was made January 1st of 2022. So yeah, we start off with the ending of Security Breach. Now, I kind of already talked about this in depth in my last channel rewind, but Security Breach was a game that I've wanted to play for a long time, but it just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And when it finally came out around Christmas time of last year, I knew that I wanted to do this experience with somebody. So I brought a friend over. We filmed the very first episode right here. We filmed it together, had a few good laughs, good time, all that jazz. But now I've already talked about this in depth, so I don't want to dwell on it. But now that Security Breach is the last 6 episodes of the series. There's one episode in particular that I want to talk about. This one, the finale. The Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach finale was one of the most stressful things I have ever recorded. And let me tell you why. Security Breach, once you finish the main story, you can go back and do some missions that you haven't done to get some endings. I wanted to get the true ending as the finale, and that is one of the most stressful things because once you complete the main game, you cannot save your game at all. You cannot save your game after you have completed the main story and is going back to do the other missions to get the other endings. You cannot save your game once. And getting this finale, filming this finale, I have to get the modifications from I think one more animatronic. I think it was Roxy. I have to get Roxy's eyes. So I have to take Roxy's eyes. Then I have to put them on Freddy. I have to do the puzzle perfectly. And if you get it wrong once, you immediately die, which means you immediately get back to the beginning of that. Then I have to travel to the hidden elevator. Then I have to go down the elevator. I have to do the final um I guess trial, the final objective. All of this without dying once. It's without a surprise, this is the most stressful thing I've ever recorded. If you even see me doing that last objective, I am trembling, I'm shaking, I'm like, oh my goodness, when is this gonna end? But I did it, and I got it here. Gosh, even thinking about it still makes me nervous because I just remember the sheer terror I felt having to record this last thing. Now, Ultimate Custom Night. I realized that I didn't record this at all. I sort of just went over it because I wanted to play every single Five Nights at Freddy's game, and I realized I didn't play Ultimate Custom Night. So I figured, we'll just give it a bit of a mini series, 2 parts, nothing more. Now, so yeah, obviously I didn't do much I just filmed 2 parts of it. Did some challenges that I already knew I could do, and that was about it. But sandwiched in between these two, we have Clubstep Studios Best Moments Compilation 9. I made that video while away in Wisconsin for some family matters that happened January of 2021. I was away in Wisconsin and it was my aunt's uncle's house. I was over there and that's when I was bored. I figured why not make another Best Moments compilation while I'm at it. I love making Best Moments compilations. They're one of my favorite videos in the series. The whole channel. They're like my I love them so much. They're the best videos of my channel because they just compile all of the accomplishments I've made, the achievements that I've done, cool plays, cool times, big reveals, whatever. I love best moments compilations. In any channel, really. Now, these two are important, or this one in particular is important because this would end up shaping the next 5 games I would play, all the way up to here. So, what game do you want me to play 2? And the reason why I called it what game you want me to play 2 was because way back in. Let's see if I can find it. I'm just gonna show you manually while we're here. It was a long, long time ago. I'm gonna see if I can even find it here. Because this was way back in literally the exact same time during 2020. 2 years ago. Almost to the day. I'm getting there. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, oh, yeah, I see it. It's what game do you want me to play? And the winner is. Yeah, this was honestly another fun video. I compiled 4 games that I didn't know which one to choose, and I just asked the audience. I was like, you pick the game. Because I don't know. I think the games I picked were Portal, Sister Location, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which I never played, and Gauntlet of Ire, but I ended up switching for Getting Over It because this game is really, as you can see, brutal and not exactly friendly for my audience at the time. But yeah, that's when I made What Game Do You Want Me to Play? Fast forward all the way up to now. Oh jeez, quite a bit. With What Game Do You Want Me to Play 2? Where I compiled 5 games that I didn't know what to pick. This time I actually did play them. I did Resident Evil, the first remastered Resident Evil. I did Kindergarten, Little Nightmares 2, Dead Space 3, and Prey. I asked friends in school, people online in VR, family members. I got everybody that I could find, and I asked them, of these 5 games, which one do you want me to play? Put them all in a sort of tally, and I ranked them all from what would I play first, what would I play last, because I'm playing all of them. So as you can see, what game do you want me to play 2 just talks about all of the games, talks about use the comments and all of the other stuff. And I didn't upload a single video throughout the week in between these two, because throughout that entire week I was seeing what game was I going to play. I was asking around, and then revealing the winner. I got my Technoblade shirt on, R.I.P. Technoblade, and yeah, you found out that Resident Evil was the winner. And as you can see, it's obvious because Resident Evil 12-part series. This is the best Resident Evil game by far. The remastered of the first Resident Evil. I had a lot more fun with this game than Resident Evil 2, with Resident especially and Resident Evil 3, especially Resident Evil 3. I love this game because not only is it challenging with save points and weaponry and guns and everything a survival horror is, it's puzzle heavy. Puzzles are big in this game. And I remember having to look up everything because I didn't know anything. Because I was bad. I had to look up everything. I'm like, how in the world was I gonna guess that? And sometimes I got lucky and I would guess the right thing, you know? It was around the ending where I just sort of like everything just sort of clicked and I just knew what I was going to do. Because the ending was probably I saved so much ammunition throughout the entire game. I saved so much ammunition and I just pulled out all the stops at the ending, which is what I love to do in survival horror games. I save all of this ammunition, I save all of these supplies, and the final boss, I just let him have it. That's what I love about it, and that's what I did for Resident Evil Part 12. In fact, the final boss, I made it so easy because I had like 18, I had like 30 Magnum bullets, I had the rocket launcher, I had everything. Except this was not, all of this, the middle part was not easy, especially episode 7, titled 100% Stress, because this episode, I had no ink ribbons. Now, in case you don't know Resident Evil, an ink ribbon is an item that you need to save your game. You need an ink ribbon. You need to go to a typewriter and you need one ink ribbon to save your game. Without an ink ribbon, you cannot save your game. I remember having no ink ribbons by the time of these episodes here, especially episode 7. I spent the entirety of episode 7 with no ink ribbon, doing lots of objectives, and if I died once, my whole thing I would start all the way back. But luckily, I made it to the typewriter in the woods, I got the ink ribbon, I saved my game, and I'm like, oh my goodness. This was not nearly as stressful as the finale of Security Breach, but it was still pretty stressful. Because if there's one thing that you will find is that I really hate limited saves. I hate them so much, and it only causes stress for me. But other than that, the game is great. I'd recommend checking it out. The next one is Kindergarten, a game that I thought about playing for a long time, actually. It was since 2020, maybe earlier, that I thought about playing Kindergarten, and I knew I was going to play this game sometime. And I figured, why not? And apparently a lot of people agreed that this game is really good. So I checked it out. I got 6 episodes here. It's a really short game. You just gotta do the quests of all the students and the teacher and the janitor, and then you just have to use all the items you get at the end of each quest to do this ultimate big final quest. Or if you want to here, you can get all of these things called Monstermon cards, and if you put them all together, the world ends. I'm not kidding, that actually happens. But yeah, Kindergarten's fun. It's definitely it's one of those games that you think it's gonna be innocent and loving, but no, it is brutal. It is very much an adult game, despite not looking like it is. But now we transition to Little Nightmares 2, a game that I found was pretty mid. I didn't really. This game was just sort of eh. I didn't really like it that much. The plot was a little all over the place. I couldn't really. Was really cohesive. And the ending just wasn't good. I mean, you can find here the ultimate betrayal where this little. I can't. I keep up my mouse over it. The person in the yellow raincoat betrays the main character with a bag over his head, which I call Bag Boy. However, his name is actually Mono, according to game lore, but we call him Bag Boy. And the person in the yellow raincoat, her name is Six. Six betrays Mono, or Bag Boy, and then Mono slash Bag Boy becomes the villain. Like, becomes the main villain of the game, which is this tall, lanky dude that keeps chasing after you. It's weird. It's weird, and trust me, I have played a lot of games like these have weird endings. There's another game with a weird ending that I'm about to cover soon. But yeah, Little Nightmares 2 was the 3rd voted game, and I can see why. The game came out, I think it was February of like last year. Like I played this like a year after its release, and I wanted to play it before that actually, but I didn't get around to it till right here. Now, this is around time of like February. This is around the time of like the end of January. This is all of January right here. Now, this Dead Space. This. I remember having to take multiple breaks from Dead Space 3 because the game was just so eh. It's not even mid, it's just kind of eh. A lot of people don't like Dead Space 3 for other reasons. But yeah, it really was just sort of an game. The new mechanics made it confusing. I mean, sometimes it was fun and unique, but other times I was just confused and I didn't use them because I wasn't familiar with them. Yeah, overall, Dead Space 3 is just a sort of kind of game. It was also around this time that I finally, excuse me, played Dark Souls on the PS4 for the first time. This is I was playing that while playing Dead Space 3, so I was taking a few breaks for multiple months. This happened for like March to May, kind of. I would just here and there I would just make a Dead Space 3. And most of the Dead Space 3 episodes came from spring break. That's when I filmed most of the Dead Space 3 episodes. But yeah. Oh yeah, here's a story. Chapter 19, the finale of Dead Space 3, isn't here, but it was. During the summer, I wanted to get my live streaming ability back. I would realize that that would ultimately fail. So I figured that because I had so many copyright claims, I couldn't get my live streaming ability. So I trimmed up the number of copyright claimed videos. I only have like two copyright claimed videos. I have my Hawaii highlights and my Filmhead Island thumbs up, which is like my most viewed video, and I didn't want to get rid of that, so I kept those two. I either trimmed up or got rid of the sound and everything else. However, something happened with Dead Space 3 Chapter 19 finale. The credits has a copyrighted song, so I figured okay, mute the sound. That did not work. And I was like, okay. Then I figured go into the YouTube editor. YouTube has a built-in editor. Trim up the video. Just cut out the credits, leave everything else in. Okay, simple enough. It turns out, this still haunts me. I didn't trim out the credits. I trimmed out everything but the credits. I remember I put the thing in the editor. The things that were selected, that I thought were selected, like, the way the YouTube editor works is that I selected the credits, removed everything else. It turns out what I selected is what I would leave in. I didn't know that till it was too late. So I remember I was just cutting out 3 minutes, and it took almost 2 days for the thing to load. I was like, what is taking so long? It's just, it's just 3 minutes worth of content. I removed literally everything else that wasn't the credits, and I was like, okay, the finale is just gone, which sucked because later on I was trying to make a Dead Space 3, not Dead Space, a Best Moments compilation 10, and I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, it would be so perfect to have the ending of Dead Space 3. But, too bad. And it, obviously you can see Dead Space 3 didn't perform very well in terms of views, so it's not like anybody saw the dumb thing anyway. Oh well. It would have been nice to have it in a Best Moments compilation, but I got rid of it, so whoops. It's these behind the scenes things you don't know until the channel rewind. I don't tell you these things till later, unless I do tell you in the video. Who knows? But this is where people watch it. All right, let's see. Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, Flying a Web. That was fun. I actually liked Chapter 2, A Gauntlet of Terror. It was pretty terrifying. So yeah, last year, I think it was like, yeah, right here, right before winter break, when I played Dead Space 2, I played Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. This was during 2021, of course. Then Later, when Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 came out, I was like, oh, that's fun. Might as well play it. So I did. Had a good time. It is a really. It's fun. I liked it. It's substantially longer than the first chapter, which is what I expect, as the first chapter is supposed to ease the person in, and then the second, and all the way through, it shows just the, I don't know, the challenge. And that's what chapter 2 did. The main villain in that chapter, her name is Mommy Longlegs, and she just sorts of toys with the main character, just putting him through endless challenges to try and make his escape more challenging. And then you realize that a person that you thought was a friend betrayed you at the last second. Typical chapter 2 stuff, you know. Tropes seen again and again. You're put into this train and you're going to escape, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much. I hope you do well out there. And it goes south. When you realize, nope, you can't escape. Trust me, I've seen this trope again and again and again. Voice crack. Bendy did it, Outlast did it, this game does it. Dead Space does it plenty. Especially Dead Space 1. Dead Space 1 could not go without having to trick the viewer like 12,000 times. I remember that vividly. Speaking of Dead Space 1, there's a remake coming out this January, and I am excited to play that, because Dead Space 1 was really good. It was really challenging, but it was really good. So I'm excited for Dead Space Remake, and you bet I'm going to be playing that. Now, Prey. Prey was a game that got 2 votes in the entire thing. Nobody knows about this game. I found out because Markiplier played it. I'm not kidding. That's literally the only thing I knew about Prey. I played it because other people played it. And the game was alright. The graphics were nice. There was a lot of challenge. A lot of challenge. Like, just look at these titles. Why are you doing this to me? Terror at every corner. Terrible typhoons that terrorize me. Chaos ensues. Flying through certain doom. The titles just say it all. It's just, the whole game is just challenge after challenge after challenge. The game is really, it, I mean, it's not that difficult as you get on. Like, the more you get ammunition, abilities, healing, the more you're able to upgrade your character, you know. And you could, make, like, as the game gets on, you could make your own upgrading system. They're a thing called neuromods. They, you put them into your eyeball, and then you upgrade your character. That's basically what they do, and later on, you could make them instead of having to find them, which is pretty cool. But there's one thing I want to talk about Prey. Through the endless challenge and the endless trials and tribulations, I figured a good ending, right? I wanted a good ending. I instead got the ending that was Prey. The ending is so dumb. I cannot even begin to describe. It's one of those stupid, it's all a dream endings. I hate those things. I hate it's all a dream endings. They're too plot devicey, they're too convenient, and it's all just, it turns out that the whole game was a simulation. It was all a dream to see what would you do in the real world, because it turns out that I am like an alien man hybrid. It was really weird. Because, like, the whole game, you're trying to escape the ship or blow up the ship to protect Earth from all of these aliens right here, the black things. I forgot what they were called. There's like, I remember there's some kinds of, there's mimics, phantoms. They had like a name or something. I forgot what it was. And yeah, these aliens. Turns out I was like an alien man hybrid. And it turns out if I didn't do the side quests, I'd be labeled as a bad person throughout the game. Which is just like, okay. Like, just because I want to do all the main quests of the game doesn't make me a bad person. Because the game really wants you to do those side quests, apparently. Because apparently they help people, but I was like, Nope, I'm done with these challenges. I am just bolting it to the end. Ugh. Oh well. Yeah, Prey was the game was all right up until the ending. Like I thought the game was good until the ending happened. Because when the ending happened, my respect for the game plummeted. Now, Doki Doki Literature Club. Oh boy, this game. Doki Doki Literature Club is a game that I don't even know how do I talk about this game without saying something that could be taken out of context. It's a good game. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's a really good game. I wanted to play this ever since 2020. In fact, if it wasn't for this game, I wouldn't have played the 90s Doom. That is how long ago when I wanted to play this. This is before Doki Doki Plus came out. I remember. In fact, I bought Doki Doki Literature Club Plus because I wanted these side stories, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, as you can see. And as you may notice, there's a bit of a gap here. You see there's Time for a Day, Doki Doki Literature Club Part 3, and then Part 6. Where's Parts 4 and 5? Well, let me show you. I think I gotta go home. Manage. I think it should be here, yeah. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. This is what y'all don't see, but this is what I do in the YouTube studio, right? So we're gonna go through everything real quick. Here they are. Privated videos. Things take an awful turn and love is just an illusion. These two videos are privated and can only be accessed here in the YouTube studio. The reason why I privated these two episodes was because there were some. I just want to check. Is everything? Yeah, it's working. I just want to check if the window transferred across. But yeah, these two episodes, and if you know anything about Doki Doki Literature Club, you know that the game takes a major dark turn when some of the characters unalive themselves. I can't say the S word on YouTube, or else I'll get flagged. They the characters so the characters commit death. I if you catch my drift. But yeah, that's what these two episodes, the ending of the main game and things take an awful turn, is where the characters sort of take a turn for the worst. And my parents came up to me and they were just like, "What is this? You know, you can't have this. Like, we can get in trouble." And I was like, "Oh, you're probably right." So they've been privated. In fact, I was supposed to delete them, but then I was like, "Hold on, I want to keep them just because." You know, just in case people want to see them, or just because I didn't want to get rid of them. So privating is the best solution, where no one could see them but me, or unless I show you. But here they are. Parts 4 and 5 do exist, but they've just been privated. Now, where were we? Oh yes, back to the magic that is here. As you can see, we got a lot to cover. But yeah, that's Doki Doki Literature Club. But I do want to talk about these side stories real quick, because these side stories, I feel like, are just sort of a break from the madness. All of these stories are wholesome, and they all talk about the attributes of of being or having a really good friend. And it sort of changed my outlook on how I come off to people, or how people come off to me. So it just, I don't know, I never thought that an anime dating simulator would end up changing my outlook on life. It's really funny how that works. But yeah, overall, do play Doki Doki Literature Club. But do be warned, there are some pretty heavy stuff. Or there is some pretty heavy stuff. Now, Resident Evil 2. Here's something that I bet you all probably already knew, we're gonna go back in the timeline a bit. We gotta go back to 2020. Yep, we're going far back again. I made this a while back. Hell and Back, that's a good song. You see this here? Resident Evil 2? This was back when I sort of just I didn't know what I was gonna play, and I figured, Resident Evil 2, it's on sale, it has a deal, whatever. So I downloaded it, I played it. This was during the time when I was really bad at playing survival horror. Eventually, over the years of this channel, I would get really good at survival horror games. But this was not that time. And I quit because I didn't get a shotgun, I didn't have nearly enough ammo, I could only fire with my pea shooter pistol. It was bad. And I knew that I was not going to make that same mistake. So come the present day, or present day that is June, I decided to play Resident Evil 2 again. Which, that's good. Because what am I saying? I'm so goofy right now. Well, I'm at a loss for words. What can I say? Anyways, Resident Evil 2 it's really good. I didn't know it then, but I know now that this game is really good, and I totally recommend playing it. It's not as good as Resident Evil 1 remastered, but this game is certainly worth playing. And just playing the first few episodes, I had 100 pistol ammunition. I had 100 bullets at my disposal. I had a whole shotgun with like 20 bullets. That just shows how much better I've gotten at survival horror games. Because back then, I didn't have anything. Now I have like hundreds upon hundreds that I would use throughout the game. What I love about this channel, it's making me better at games. But yeah, also, I went on vacation, a 3-week vacation throughout the end of June, early July. I went on I think it was like a cruise as well as going to someplace South Carolina. It's I think it was like these two episodes between these two that I took that 3-week break. And yeah, it's whatever. I got back into the swing of things real quick, you bet. But yeah, here, the final boss of Resident Evil 2 is a challenge. And I could tell that if I continued my playthrough of Resident Evil 2 back then, I would not have stood a chance. I would have been screwed left, right, and center because there was absolutely no way I was going to beat this guy. And I play this on standard difficulty, right? Because, there's casual, standard, hardcore. I played on standard. I always play on standard my first time. It's just something I do. I know a lot of people like to play on casual their first time. I always go standard. But yeah, having as having never even shot the Magnum gun once, because I got the Magnum gun, I saved like 30 bullets. I had a flamethrower that I never used. I had 2 powerful weapons, and even then, this boss fight was still challenging. Unlike the first game, where I instantly beat the boss fight. Instantly. This took a lot. This took a lot. And even if I had like the rocket launcher was still a challenge because I still have to evade his attacks and then like land the perfect shot. But eventually, I did it, and I made a pretty decent line, as you can watch in my best moments compilation that's coming up soon. But yeah, that's it for Resident Evil 2. Also, I tend to I tend to call this summer the summer of sequels. Because I played Resident Evil 2, Simulacra 2, Kindergarten 2, Cuphead DLC, and then, of course, there's Bloodborne, whatever. But yeah, most of these are just sequels. Now, continue the sequel train, we have Simulacra 2. We're gonna go back in the timeline again. Oh, wow, already here. To Simulacra 1. As you can see, this was before I even could make a thumbnail. Yeesh, was that long ago. When I played the first Simulacra. It was good. It's the best Simulacra game by far. Without a doubt. I feel like the games just go in descending order. Like Simulacra 1 is the best, Simulacra 2 is the second best, and Simulacra 3 is the worst. But yeah, going all the way back up again, we have Simulacra 2. Simulacra 2 is shorter. It's a lot more cringe, to say the least. I felt like some of the parts of the game were just cringe, without a doubt. And the ending was just sort of dissatisfying, you know? I didn't really like. I mean, I guess there's multiple endings, so maybe I just didn't like the ending that I got, where the dude in the suit up here, I can't put my mouse on him. If you, the top right guy, the guy with the suit above that one girl, he dies. That's the ending I got, where he dies. And I don't know. I was just like, okay. I didn't really like the ending that either I got or whatever. Unlucky, I guess. But yeah, I didn't like. Overall, the game was just sort of. You're supposed to try to convince these four people. The dude all the way at the top is actually your boss, but the other four people you have to try to convince them to like get put all the pieces together and vanquish the Simulacra forever. You know, like something that I did in Simulacra 3 as well. Simulacra 2 does this as well, and yeah, I failed. It didn't work. Which is Simulacra for you. Getting the good ending is so hard. It is very hard to get the good ending, especially on your first try. I remember Simulacra 1, I got the worst ending, and I liked it. I liked it, even though I got the worst ending. But even getting, like, a sort of middle, mediary kind of ending, I didn't like the game. It was sort of, you know. It's shorter, a lot shorter, but there's not much to say other than it's mid, and play the first game, and then see if you want to play Simulacra 2. That's what I have to say about it. Now, Kindergarten 2. Kindergarten 2, bigger, bolder, and a whole heck of a lot more people I gotta worry about. As you can see, it's a lot longer. It's not 6 episodes, but 9. And a whole lot more missions I gotta worry about. But yeah, fun stuff. There's not much I have to say about Kindergarten 2 that mirrors Kindergarten 1, other than, yes, the school is larger, there's a whole heck of a lot more people I gotta worry about, and aliens. More aliens around the ending, which you'll find out if you ever watch it. But overall, Kindergarten 2 is. I Is it better or worse? Even I don't know. I think I liked Kindergarten 1 better than this, but not by a wide margin. This game is good. I do recommend playing Kindergarten 2. It's a good game, but I recommend playing the first one first and then seeing if you want to play Kindergarten 2. Because there's not a lot to say. There's no really unique story about the game. It's really just Kindergarten 2. It's a sequel, you know. Not much remarkable about it. But now we get to the Cuphead DLC. Now this is fun because the Cuphead DLC was challenging. Especially this one right here. That first boss that is the longest video because that just the first boss in the DLC took forever. And what's funny is that oh my goodness gracious, the first boss in Cuphead in the DLC, that one, which is supposed to be the theme of like a 1930s speakeasy, kind of like the Ruby and Croaks boss fight, but this one is The way that you win is by killing like the person in, like the last phase, but then the game the game tricks you. It puts like the you win, like it was like the knockout, thing, but really it's a lie. So when I heard the knockout, I was like, yes, yes. So I was like celebrating, and I didn't notice that there was a secret last phase because the game tricks you. Like it says knockout, and then it immediately starts with that last phase. And then you have to finish up that last phase, then it says knockout. I didn't realize it then, but I got bamboozled. And I remember I was celebrating, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And then I look at the screen and it says you died. I'm like, what? Like, it said knockout. But then I realized it was a fake knockout, and I was like, oh my goodness. Thank goodness that was the only time that a fake knockout happened. Because seriously, I would have been angry. But yeah, good fun. Other than that, it was really smooth sailing. The final boss, the Salt Baker, he was pretty challenging. And of course, right in the middle, we have Best Moments Compilation 10, which, like I said, would have been great if Dead Space 3 was there, but what can you do? But yeah, close to Best Moments Compilation 10. This is the most recent Best Moments compilation. There will be one soon. There probably should be one soon, considering we have a lot of material here. We have a lot of material here, don't we? Oh boy. Yeah, so Best Moments Compilation 10, 7 minutes. Probably the longest Best Moments compilation ever. I mean, I remember when I first started Best Moments compilations, they were often. I made them like all the time. I remember like every 40 videos I would make a Best Moments compilation. But now these things are like biannual. In fact, I think 2021 alone only had one compilation. And it was like right in the middle of the summer. So yeah. This is the most recent one. It's a 10-part series. I totally recommend watching Best Moments compilations if you want to sort of get yourself a feel for the channel. It's the videos that I play for new audiences. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Also, the ending of Cuphead DLC, Saltbaker's supposed to be like someone like your Saltbaker's like your friend. Like you gotta give him the ingredients to make this wonder tart that's supposed to bring Miss Chalice, the person on the left, back to life. But then he uses the wonder tart for himself, and then he becomes bad. Twist villain, what twist villain? It was foreseeable. It was definitely foreseeable. But now we have ugh, my voice is dying on me. We have Bloodborne, my favorite Souls game of all time. Bloodborne. I knew I wanted to play Bloodborne first. In fact, I wanted to play Bloodborne for the longest time. The longest of longest time. Like, ever since I first played Bloodborne, like January of 2021, that was the first time I played Bloodborne. I wanted to play this. I wanted to play on the channel so bad. And this is where the live streaming ability problem stems from. It's because I wanted to play Bloodborne. But to do that, I needed my live streaming ability. Or so I thought. I found a loophole. I found a way, and I still use it to this day. That rhymed. I found a way to record videos on the PlayStation without needing your live stream ability. I needed to use video clips. The maximum time that I could record a video clip was 1 hour. Normally, you could do like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. So I put at the maximum time 1 hour, and I figured, okay, 1 hour to record, that's fine by me. And that's what I did. I made every single video, except for this one, because I made this one on my iPad, under an hour. Bloodborne, and I just had such a fun time playing Bloodborne. I love this series. I absolutely adore it, and you should play Bloodborne. Alright? It is certainly a game for first-time Souls fans. Like me. Well, not me, like me back then, not me now, because I already played Dark Souls Remastered, which you'll find out later. But yeah, Bloodborne, I played it way long ago, and I wanted to play this so bad. I tried setting up ways, I tried fixing everything, but then I found the ultimate solution. And it was during the time of Cuphead DLC that I found out how to do it, and I just knew immediately that I wanted to play Bloodborne. Because it was going to be this game next. It was going to be Resident Evil 3. But thank goodness I found out that way, because Bloodborne is the game the game I wanted to play. So yeah. Also, I think it was around this time here during the DLC that school started up again. Or it might have been here. It was around this time that school started up again. So I sort of started making less and less Bloodborne as the time went on. So I'd take like multiple days break, you know. But eventually, I did it. Now, I will say, one of the most fulfilling episodes was the Bloodborne finale. I beat 3 bosses, 1 episode. I got the secret ending, which I thought was unobtainable. Oh my gosh, I just remembered. I just remembered the best story. While playing Bloodborne, like I was just setting up to record. I think it was this one. It was like right before making this episode right here, episode 12. I was about to record episode 12. The power goes out. I load up my PlayStation again. All the save data, even in previous games, gone. Everything was gone. I loaded up Bloodborne on the account that I play it on. Everything was gone. And I just remember being so distraught. I'm like, I made it basically to the ending, and I gotta do it all again. So I was just thinking, okay, like, I think this was on a Saturday that it happened, and I remember being so distraught. I didn't make a video that day, in case you're wondering. But what I did was that on Sunday, I stayed in that room playing Bloodborne for 8 hours straight. I think I left the room like twice. I played all the bosses again. I didn't even have to do all the bosses again, but I did. I played that game basically from start to finish again. This is like everything here is all DLC stuff. That's completely optional. I basically played the entire main game again. And it's a long game. As you can see, it is a long game. I played that 8 hours I spent all in one Sunday. And what's funny is that I didn't, and like once I caught up, I didn't even stop. I just kept going. I just, I even made an episode that next day, despite not making an episode Saturday. I caught all the way up from start to finish, and then made another episode. That was probably the longest I've ever sat in one room playing a game. That's probably the longest. It still shocks me that I sat there in that room for that long playing Bloodborne. I love the game, but that was just infuriating. Yeah, I just remember that story. It's just I remember having to play through that whole thing again, listening to music. I think I started playing it at like 5 a.m. in the morning. 5 a.m. I think it was like 5 a.m. and I only stopped till like 1 to 2 p.m. I think that's how long it took. But yeah, what can I say? It was challenging, but there's also one more thing to say. This episode right here, the Bloodborne finale, back to what I was actually saying. The final boss of the DLC is the hardest boss fight in a video game that I have ever played. Without a doubt. Nothing is harder than the Orphan of Kos boss fight. A lot of people say it's the best boss in Bloodborne, which I could see that. It is really well made, but it is also torturous. The Orphan of Kos, the first time I played Bloodborne, and the first time that I attempted that boss fight, it took me a week, maybe 2 weeks, to beat the Orphan of Kos. This time, it took me multiple recording sessions. I spent, I think, 4 or 5 consecutive 1-hour recordings to try to beat the Orphan of Kos, all of which failed. And you can see, when I'm starting this episode, I'm down. I'm like, here we go again, try to beat the Orphan of Kos. I beat him the second try of that recording. I beat him the second try. Maybe the first. It was the first or second try, I remember. It probably was the first. I'll have to check again, but it was the first or second try. I beat him, and my reaction is legendary, and you have to see for yourself. It's definitely going in a best moments compilation somewhere. And then I proceeded to beat one of the hardest bosses in only 5 tries, which is unheard of for my skill level. And then I beat the final secret boss. The final boss of the secret ending. And the only good thing that came from the power going out and having to play through Bloodborne again from beginning to end, the only good thing was that at least I was able to get the secret ending. Because beforehand, I goofed up getting one of the things you need for the secret ending. You need these things called 1/3 umbilical cords. You need to get 3 of them. One of them you get from a hidden workshop. The other one you get from a lady in a clinic. And the third one you need to get from a boss fight. 2 of those are easy. The workshop and the boss fight. Simple. The lady in the clinic, I messed it up. I went there too early to try and get it, and I messed it up. And I couldn't get it. There was actually another way, but that I also didn't do that correct. I have to attract people to the church, but I didn't do that right, so I couldn't get the ending. So when the power went out, I realized that, hey, I could at least do the secret ending correct this time. So that was a relief. That was the only good thing that came from that. That was literally the only good thing. I think reiterating the same things over and over and over again. But yeah. And then I made this video. It's all bosses. One of the only videos that actually have chapters. Chapters that were handmade and not auto-generated. But yeah, Bloodborne. Highly recommend playing it. Highly. It is up there in my top 10 games. Honestly. Because this game is outstanding. And you should totally play it. Even the DLC. And now, let's transition on to Resident Evil 3. So far, my least favorite Resident Evil game. I've only played the first, second, and third. This is my least favorite. It's too short. And it's way too expensive. The game was $40 for 4 parts. $40, 4 parts. That's like $10 for an episode. That is the definition of not worth it. Sadly, the game wasn't on. I think the game was on a deal too. I think it was originally $60. Maybe it was toned down. Maybe I don't exactly remember. It might have been on a deal. It might not have. But even then, it was $40. And even then, it only took me about 4 to 5 hours to beat the game. And it's just okay. This... Resident Evil 3... even the original Resident Evil 3, I think, is a whole lot longer. Because the Resident Evil 3 that we got was trimmed down substantially. And I wanted to play Resident Evil 3 for a long time. Because this game came out in March of 2020, right before quarantine happened. So, and then this image realized that this game got trimmed down a lot. A lot. So yeah, quarantine happened. This game happened like right before quarantine. And I wanted to play it ever since West of Loathing. In fact, West of Loathing was what I played instead of Resident Evil 3. It's funny how all these things sort of work out, right? The timeline of my YouTube channel, it's a whole thing. You don't know it till I tell you here. But yeah, Resident Evil 3, play Resident Evil 1 or 2 first, and then see if you want to pay $40 for Resident Evil 3. But yeah, there's not much to say about it. It's okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is a game that I got on a deal for half price. It was $30 cheaper than Resident Evil 3. Red Dead Redemption 2. This is the biggest game I've ever downloaded on my computer. It is 120 gigabytes of space. You think my PC can handle that? I had to remove everything. I had to remove old videos. I had to remove the Joy Creation from my computer that I've apparently had for the longest time. I removed everything. Old videos that I saved, documents I had, games that I downloaded, One Night of Flumpty's, Joy Creation, all of those gone. To make room for the behemoth that is this game right here. As you can see, it is a behemoth for good reason. It is 23 parts long. I mean, God of War is also 23 parts long, but, whatever. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2. The story behind Red Dead Redemption 2 is that my cousin loves this game. It is in his top 3, I believe. He loves this game, and it was during this time of August to September, where he was moving out to go to college. And I kind of wanted to make him happy as he was leaving home, to go to college. I wanted to make him happy. So I decided to play Red Dead Redemption 2. He told me for years and years and years to play it. It's so good. Just, play it. I finally did. I got it on my computer, and I played it. Also, one of the most torturous things about this game is trying to set up the aspect ratio perfectly, because the full screen of the game only goes, like, where my mouse is tracing. It only goes up to, like, here, and I'm like, no. So I remember having to... I spent forever. It was midnight, by the way. I was up at midnight setting up the aspect ratio to get it perfect. And apparently, it uses up more space to have the aspect ratio correct. So I had to, tone down the quality of certain things, like water, trees, background. I had to, tone down the quality to make room to add the other thing. Which was... And even then, I still got messages saying, you're using too much data, So, what can you do? But overall, I love this game. I recommend playing it on a console, because consoles are designed to have, 1,000 gigabytes of space. So play it on a console. I recommend it. But hey, if you have a really good PC, and you'd rather play it on there, that's good too. However, I do recommend just play the game. Just play the dumb game. I don't care how you just play the dumb game. But yeah, as you can see, all these are an hour long, except for one of them, or this one. This one, the Death of the Vanderlyn Gang. 6 hours and 56 minutes. This is the longest episode across my entire YouTube channel. I made this on an off day. I think this was I had a Monday off from school that day. And what I remember ever so vividly, is I remember I made this video that same day. I made it's just funny. I remember I was playing this. I was filming this episode, and I was just thinking, there's not a lot to this game left. I knew that there was some epilogue. I knew the epilogue existed, but like, how long would an epilogue be? So you ever have that thing where you're just like, all right, you know what? In and out. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's gonna take barely any time, and it takes like forever. You ever have that? Because that's what that was like. I figured it's not even gonna take an hour, maybe a little over. Just look at that runtime. 6 hours and 56 minutes. I remember I was like 3 hours in, and I'm like, okay, like, don't worry, this isn't gonna take like 5 hours or whatever. I'm saying this on camera. This is gonna take like 5 hours. We'll be fine. This just speaks for itself. All right, this just speaks for itself. Yeah, it was something. My cousin. It was like a day later. I was in my study hall on my phone. I probably shouldn't have, but whatever. I was on my phone on my study hall at school, and and my cousin texted me. I'm like, "What is this doing here? Like, this episode's so long." And I'm like, "Yeah, like, I didn't know it was gonna be that long." It's like, I was told that the epilogues would take 40 minutes. There were two-part epilogues, 40 minutes. I was like, okay, get through the game, have like about as long as this. And then I realized it would take 6 hours and 56 minutes. Yeah. I remember after I was done recording, this episode took maybe like 8 hours to process from YouTube, which is understandable because it's so long. Normally, if it was a live stream, that would have made sense. Because live streaming this game would have been a lot better. YouTube, right? Sorry, I'm still a little bit bitter about that. Losing Dead Space Part 9, Dead Space 3 Part 19. Yeah, now let's transition to another game, Minecraft. Minecraft is... I tried to be a speedrunner and blitz through the game as fast as possible around the time of this. Minecraft, it starts off really well with these two episodes. World's luckiest spawn. Like, oh wow, that sounds so good, right? Not so when it comes to here. Surprisingly, the Nether wasn't that bad. It was really the mining. Ugh, the mining. I am digging out tunnel after tunnel, lighting torch roads, going and going and going and going. And as this shows, I find this giant mine shaft. It was right here. I find this ginormous mine shaft with everything you can imagine: gold, redstone, lapis. It has everything except for diamonds. It only has one, which I found in this episode. I didn't find a single diamond in the 1 hour episode I was recording. Can y'all believe that? I didn't find a single diamond in this giant mine shaft where diamonds were perfect. There was the right depth. Everything should have been there. No diamonds. And that's just what sucked. There were just no diamonds in this giant mine shaft. So like off camera, I just went strip mining once, and I found a few diamonds. I got enough to make a sword and a pickaxe or two. Maybe I think I built some armor as well. Like, I got a lot of diamonds there. Then I tackled the Nether. The Nether, I mean, despite the title, it wasn't that bad, honestly. I was able to get in the Nether and get what I wanted. It was really not that bad. That was the I mean, still, it is the Nether, so it is going to be challenging, but it wasn't really that bad. But then we have this episode. Oh my gosh. Episode 6. You wanna know what happened? I'm traversing the Nether. I'm looking for Enderman. Because I needed Enderman Because to build an Eye of Ender, which I need to get into the final area of the game, you need blaze powder, you need eyes, you need ender pearls. Ender pearls are dropped from Endermen. But the thing about Endermen is that they are hard to kill and they're hard to find. Two things that aren't good for me. I would die and die. I would see like, oh look, an Enderman. I would try to kill it and then I would just die. And it would just be a loop for an hour and 22 minutes. So what ended up happening was that during in the Nether, when I'm looking for Enderman, I suddenly fall through a crevice that I didn't know was there into lava, and I lose everything. My diamond armor, my diamond supplies, my bread, my pickaxes. I lose everything. All of my good stuff that was on me for Enderman hunting, it's all gone. I didn't have keep inventory on at the time because I never liked using keep inventory. I thought it was, for chumps. So, I lost everything. Everything you could ever imagine being everything that was good. What I had in my chest was just useless garbage that was unusable. I remember being so distraught. I took like a 2-week break between this and this. Just finding out what to even do. Because I wanted to just beat Minecraft and move on. So, I did the thing that, you know, I did what I had to do. And this is what the title said. I gave up. And how I gave up was that I turned on cheats. Where you could type in a command where you can turn on creative mode. And in creative mode, obviously, you could build whatever you want. I built myself I tried to find a portal, but apparently I think I accidentally blew it up by TNT mining. So I built a portal myself, and I beat the Enderman all with cheats because I had nothing and I was just not having it anymore. And keep in mind, I still play Minecraft. What was the last time I played Minecraft? Oh yeah, here. Minecraft is the reason why I played Minecraft initially was because I didn't complete Minecraft here, so I wanted to beat Minecraft because 2022 is really a time for me to just beat games that I haven't completed, and Minecraft was one of those. So yeah, Minecraft. It's a great game. It's such a great game. Don't get me wrong. There is a reason why it is the number one sold game in the world. Trust me, there is a reason, but survival mode was torture. So I gave up. I just said no. I'm moving on. I beat Minecraft, not officially, but I still count it as a win. You know what I'm saying? I beat Minecraft. Not how anybody would, but I beat it. And we move on to Dark Souls. Dark Souls was fun. uh, Dark Souls. Just like Bloodborne, I wanted to an all boss run. So, there are tons and tons of optional bosses in Dark Souls. Like, most of the bosses are optional, I think. There's only like a handful that are actually necessary to fight. So, what I did, and because there's less bosses, the all boss video is a lot shorter. Also, because some of those bosses took really, really short. Some of them took like no time at all. But yeah, Dark Souls Remastered is a great game. It is the original Dark Souls, remastered. I mean, what more can I say? The first time I played Dark Souls Remastered was March of this year, and I beat the DLC also during that same time. It was during the time I was playing Dead Space 3. And the reason why I was taking so many breaks is I was too busy playing this game. Because this game is good. It's a lot better than Dead Space 3. So yeah, I played Dark Souls Remastered, and I love it. I still love it. It is a really good game. I didn't have any mishaps with the power going out and having to reset everything. The only mishap that I did have is that I lost the record. I goofed up the recording of beating the Chaos Witch Quelaag, which is a necessary boss in the worst area of the game, Blighttown. I could go on for why I hate Blighttown. Me and my friend, who also plays Dark Souls, we could go on for why we hate Blighttown. It's confusing, it's cramped, there's like a poison lake at the bottom, the enemies are stupid. It is literally a maze. Blighttown is just a mess. And I'm not a fan of it. So I messed up the recording of beating Quelaag. So what I did was that I literally played all of Dark Souls up until Blighttown, which is not a lot. I mean, the only way you have to go is just all you have to do is just beat the first area, get to the Undead Parish, then you have to go to the catacombs. Not the catacombs, not bad, not the catacombs. The sewers, the sewers. I think it's the sewers. No, the depths, the depths. I'm stupid. The catacombs is a completely different area. The depths, and then you have to get to Blighttown, and then you have to get to Quelaag. Simple stuff. It wasn't that bad. So it took me like about an hour and a half to get to Quelaag. So I did. I made like a 2 minute video of literally just Quelaag because I want to do an all boss run, and that's what I intended to do was an all boss run. So yeah. Not to mention the hardest boss fight in Dark Souls is Manus, Father of the Abyss. The final boss fight of the DLC. DLC fights are challenging if you haven't picked it up. The final boss of the DLC in Dark Souls Remastered is Manus, Father of the Abyss. He's big, he's tanky, and he moves surprisingly fast for someone of his size. Because the Orphan of Kos, he's small, he's lanky, and he moves incredibly quick, which is understandable. Normally, big enemies are slower. They deal more damage. The dealing damage part is correct, but for someone so big, Manus is really mobile. And he has a 5-hit combo that if you don't avoid it, it will basically take your health and put it all the way down to, not all the way down to 0, but close. Like, if your health is like halfway and you get caught by that combo, you're as good as dead. It's literally like a side hit, another side hit, a slam attack, he throws you on the ground, he slams you again. It's dreadful. And you have to avoid it. You have to, or else if you don't die, then you'll be really close. He does have a precursor to that combo by doing a roar, but the roar is really short. It's literally just like it lasts like about like 1.5 seconds, and it does not give you nearly enough time to run away if you're up close to him. Because if you're up close to him in the middle of attack and he does the roar, you have no chance of getting away. I could go on. I could rant about Manus, but I don't think you're here for me ranting about boss fights. So I think we should move on. Yeah, I made another boss video. That's fun. Bendy the Dark Revival. If it weren't for Bendy the Dark Revival, Omori would have been right after Dark Souls. But during the time I was playing Dark Souls, Bendy and the Dark Revival got announced as coming out in 2 weeks. And I remember I was in study hall again, watching the trailer on my phone, and just thinking, I have to play this game right after Dark Souls. I have to. So, and what was the last time I played Bendy? Oh yeah, right. Um, Here. This was the last time I played Bendy with a few friends. So obviously, about 2.5 years later, Bendy 2 finally comes out. I mean, then again, during I think it was March, Boris and the Dark Survival came out, but that game was just sort of nothing. It was just I played it for 3 parts. It was It was really a game more so than it was just, you know, I don't know. What's a game that you could just play like endlessly? It's like a mobile game. It works best as a mobile game. But yeah, Bendy and the Dark Revival, it was really good. I love Bendy and the Dark Revival. They really outdid themselves with this. I wish it was longer. That's my one thing, is that I wish the game was longer, but it is really good. Do not get me wrong. It is a really good game, and I totally recommend playing it. Because I've been waiting a long time for this, because Bendy and the Dark Revival took 4 years in development. It started development fall of 2018 when it first got announced. And I remember, just like Security Breach, it just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. All the way up until November, I think, of 2022. And I'm thinking, like, about dang time. But yeah, I do recommend Benny the Dark Revival. It is certainly worthy of playing. Omori! I hope this doesn't hurt your eyes. Omori is a game that was recommended to me by someone. I don't typically play games that are recommended to me, but I wanted to make an exception because I haven't played an RPG-based game in a long time. The last time I played one was Undertale. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah, so Omori is, obviously RPG based game. It's very Undertale like. You have a party of you have a party, you do quests and adventures and stuff. It's very Undertale Earthbound like, right? It's that kind of game. And I loved it. Because not only is Omori an Earthbound the Undertale type game, it also has a compelling story with a very simplistic art style and graphics. The whole game is crayon. I am not kidding. The entire art of this game is literally drawn on a crayon, which is just remarkable in and of itself. And it really just speaks to the theme of the game. But even though it has such a simplistic not simplistic story, but simplistic art style and simplistic gameplay, the story is so compelling. And I'm not going to talk about the story, all right? Because there's somebody watching this video, probably, that wants to play this without any spoilers. And this is a game you should play without any spoilers. So I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen. But I love this game. Omori is it blew me away how good this game was because I knew this game was good. A lot of people said it was good, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. So I was genuinely blown away. And this episode right here, You Must Persevere No Matter What, Omori Part 13 finale, left me speechless. Take notes, pray. This is how you make an ending. I am not joking. This is how you make an ending. Omori, the ending of Omori. I mean, there's multiple endings, but the ending of Omori, the one that I got, was supremely well made, and I absolutely adore it. You can tell my voice is. I'm losing my voice over it. I love Omori. You should play it without looking up anything, and I am glad that I did not look up any story or any playthroughs of it before I played the game, because this is a game that you need to play blind. It's just that kind of game. But I will say, Omori Part 13 finale left me speechless. It left me in awe. It was like such a downhill, and then it just whoosh, it left me completely in awe. I just remember it's one of the most fulfilling, inspiring, most impactful episodes I've ever recorded on this channel. And I mean it. Do play Omori. It is really good. I can't stress enough how good this game is. But I don't think you're here. I don't think you're here to watch me rant about how good Omori is. Unless you are, then you've come to the right place. But now let's talk about Simulacra 3, the worst installment of the series, and the shortest installment of the series. This game took me half a week to beat. Half of a week. For the 4 parts that is Simulacra 3. At least the game was like $5, so it wasn't $40 like Resident Evil 3. I mean, at least it was cheap, so, it wasn't, you know, I felt like I got my money's worth. But even so, the game was just not that good. It sort of fell into the same trap that Simulacra 2 did. It just overcomplicated itself. Because what made Simulacra 1 so good, I think, is that even though you're flung into a conflict that you know nothing about and you have to sort of piece together what's happening, I don't want to say like you know what's happening, but you're not confused, right? This whole game, like once you finally reach the solution, you aren't your reaction isn't just like, oh, okay, I understand what's happening, like, oh, this is good, like I know what's happening, I understand it, or you're not like, wow, like. Instead, your reaction is, wait, what? That's what Simulacra 2 did, and that's what Simulacra 3 also did. However, the only good thing that came out of Simulacra 3 was that I was actually able to get a good ending for once. Clap that up. I was actually able to have a good ending, which is really good because I am normally really bad at getting good endings. Now, God of War. Oh boy. God of War is going to be the longest series on the channel, because you wanna know what the longest series is right now? It's not Red Dead 2, it's not Bloodborne, it's not Dark Souls. It's Subnautica. All the way back in 2020. That was 24 parts. This is at 23. And trust me, we're going to get to at least 25, maybe 26. That's my guess. Yeah, God of War. The first time I played God of War was, I think it was, oh yeah, it was right before here. Right before I played 123 Slaughter Me Street, I played 123 Slaughter Me Street. Oh, Dark Souls Part 1 on the computer. I forgot I did that. I honestly forgot I did that. Like I said, this is why I said 2020 is playing games that I never beat. Because I never beat Dark Souls Part 1. But I know Dark Souls Part 1. I sound so stupid. Listen, I never beat Dark Souls Remastered until now. Until this year. But yeah, it was right before Run Through Sodomy Street that my cousin, the same cousin that likes Red Dead 2, recommended to me that I play God of War. So I did. I had a good time. And this was up there in games that I wanted to play on the channel when I finally got my live streaming back. But then when I found a way, this game, I wanted to play it. So I put this on the queue. I have a whole queue of games that I'm planning to play. And God of War is certainly one of them. I started God of War the day that Christmas break started. The day that I finally got out of my first semester of this year, and yeah, I took my biology exam. On that day that I finally ended that semester, that is when I played God of War. And as you can see, we haven't stopped. 1 hour ago, I made Jotunheim Tower, which is, honestly, Jotunheim Tower is the worst thing that this game is going to throw at you. I remember vividly, even starting part 1, I remember that I would have to face Jotunheim Tower, and I guess today/tomorrow is that time. Yeah. And trust me, there's a lot of rage to be felt with God of War because I decided to play this game on the second highest difficulty because one step above what I played it last time. Because I played it on the difficulty called Give Me a Balanced Experience, which is basically standard mode. which I always do in my first playthrough. I wanted to be special and play it on a difficulty higher. I wanted to play it on a difficulty called Give Me a Challenge. Oh boy, did I get that challenge. And trust me, I'm about to get that challenge with Jotunheim Tower. Jotunheim Tower is literally one of the last things. Because after Jotunheim Tower, everything is a cakewalk. It's literally the final boss, and then you reach Jotunheim right after this. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. I mean, you know that every single day for Christmas break in the morning, I just play some God of War. You know, sometimes I did it later. You know, but I have nothing else to say. This is it. This is my most recent video on the channel, and excuse me. And I hope you have enjoyed Clubstep's channel rewind as we rewound ourselves all the way here from FNAF Security Breach all the way up to God of War. I hope you guys having a great day. And I hope you all have a happy new year. And I will see you all later. Bye.